to the Celebrity Gossip Channel. In this video, I'm going to be talking about SZA surpassing Taylor Swift. I'm going to be talking about the I Wanna Dance with Somebody movie biopic of Whitney Houston. And I'm going to be giving my review on it. I'm also going to be giving a review on the Black Panther, Wakanda Forever new movie. I'm also going to be talking about Julia Hollycomb filing a lawsuit against Steven Tyler. And I'm also going to be talking about the passing of Barbara Walters. So recently, unfortunately, Barbara Walters did suddenly pass away at the age of 93. She was a journalist who had been, in the field for decades. She's interviewed everyone from Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, everyone, Britney Spears, so RIP to her. Sending condolences to her family. That's very unfortunate. But yeah, moving on from that. SZA recently surpassed Taylor Swift. So apparently, SZA's Kill Bill is now the longest running #1 hit by a female artist on US Spotify chart this year, surpassing Taylor Swift's #1 hit, Anti-Hero. So congrats to SZA. SZA's really dominated. Wow. So I do have to give her props because it's not easy for an artist to, not have an album out for like 5 years and come back and just really like dominate the charts. That's not an easy thing to do, especially to surpass someone who sells like Taylor Swift because she does numbers. So congrats to SZA for that. That's an incredible accomplishment. Moving on from that, the I Wanna Dance with Somebody movie review. So yesterday I went to, maybe yesterday, 2 days ago. I'm tired, I can't remember. But yeah, a few days ago, maybe 2 days ago, I watched both Black Panther and the I Wanna Dance with Somebody biopic of Whitney Houston. And I'm gonna first talk about the I Wanna Dance with Somebody biopic. So overall, I would give the biopic maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10. uh the biopic was incredible. Like, I have to be honest, the problem to make is the biopic was very, very good. Like, I've never really been someone who's into biopics because I've never really felt like a lot of them are very accurate. Like, a lot of them are mainly done for entertainment, but they don't really focus on getting the accuracy of that person right. So because of that, I've never really been like a huge fan of biopics. But Whitney Houston, I've always been like a huge fan of her, so I obviously wanted to see the biopic to see if it was actually good. Uh, and I have to be honest, it was incredible. Like, I just remember, it just reminded me of how recognizable Whitney's voice is. Like, as soon as I heard her voice, I could just recognize it instantly. Like, I could be blind as hell, and still recognize that woman's voice. But yeah, so something that I really liked in the biopic is that they were able to show a lot of Whitney's iconic moments. When she the Star Spangled Banner back in '91, when she did the Arista 15th celebration back in 1990, and stuff like that. They were able to show a lot of her iconic moments, and I really like that. I do have some critiques though. I have to be honest, I have to be fair. One of the critiques was obviously Whitney. She was open about the fact that she had a few miscarriages, but the film only talked about one. Which obviously, if you're someone who doesn't know that about Whitney Houston, right, you're obviously gonna sit there thinking she only had one miscarriage, but she actually had like three. She had one before she had her daughter back in '92 when she did The Bodyguard, which they did show. So I admit that. But then she also had one in '94 and one in '96. So the film didn't really talk about those ones, which obviously I felt like they should have, because obviously the audience might not know that she had those miscarriages. So that's one of the critiques that I had. Another critique I had is they didn't really talk about Exhale or The Preacher's Wife, which was also huge films that Whitney did, or Sparkle. They mainly talked about The Bodyguard, which was understandable because obviously The Bodyguard was a huge moment in Whitney's career. But they should have also talked about those other movies as well, because those were also big movies that she did. So those are my critiques that I had. But overall, though, I would give it like a solid 8 or 9 out of 10 because the film was phenomenal. It was just incredible, and I'm gonna be honest, like it was fire. So I have to give props where it's due. But moving on from that, I'm gonna be talking about the Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So I watched that film before I actually watched I Would Have Done to Somebody. The Black Panther, it was very good. It was very good. There are going to be some spoiler alerts in this video, so if you've not watched it, I suggest you go watch the movie before you watch this video. But yeah, one of the I got I'll do my critiques first. One of my critiques was that they killed off Ramonda, Queen Ramonda, and that obviously irritated me because I felt like that whole scene was unnecessary. They did not need to kill her off. I did not see the point of that. Um, Another critique I had, it was a bit long. The movie was a bit long. Not gonna lie, 3 hour movies are just like wow. You know what I mean? Maybe 2.5 hours would have maybe been better because there were some scenes like most films that you could say are a bit unnecessary. One being Ramona dying, that scene should have been scrapped. But yeah, but overall though, great movie. I probably give it. I'd give it a 9, solid 9. The only reason I'm not giving it a 10 is because, like I said, there were some scenes that were a bit unnecessary, and I felt like overall the film was a bit too long. 3 hours, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. But overall, the film was great. That I do want to talk about Julia Hollycomb filing her lawsuit against Steven Tyler. A few days ago, maybe yeah. So a few days ago, Julia Hollycomb filed a lawsuit against Steven Tyler for assaulting her when she was only 16. So the story has been going viral, and a lot of people have their own opinions about it. So if you don't, if you recall, a few years back, The Simpsons pulled Michael Jackson in 2019, and there was a lot of backlash by that because obviously that documentary had a lot of stuff that turned out to be false. I'm just gonna say that it wasn't a very good documentary. The stuff there was very inconsistent. Uh, the timelines were off. If you really want to know more about that documentary, Leaving Neverland, and why people don't believe it, go watch The Lies in Leaving Neverland. It's on YouTube. Maybe I might link in the description below. But yeah, so a lot of people kind of feel like so if Michael Jackson got pulled off from The Simpsons after that Leaving Neverland garbage, so they were basically asking, so why can't The Simpsons pull off Steven Tyler's cameo appearance on The Simpsons just like they pulled off Michael Jackson? And one person was even saying, so is that type of cancellation only reserved for black entertainers? Which I kind of feel like is a fair point because I do kind of feel like at times when it comes to all this cancel culture bullshit, right? They don't keep the same energy. I feel like people pick and choose who they decide to cancel, and that's why I kind of feel like if you're gonna have all these morals, either have the morals or piss off because there's just no point of pretending to have morals, but then you don't keep the same energy to other people. Because I'm gonna give you like an example, right? A few weeks ago, Chris Brown opened up about how AMAs cancelled his tribute to Michael Jackson for the 40th anniversary of Thriller because, it then came out, I think it was the Shade Room or Hollywood Unlocked that reported that apparently the executives at ABC who run the AMAs didn't want someone who had been accused of, child M word and, uh, Chris Brown being accused of, being proven of beating up Rihanna, being at like a show that kids would be at. But what kind of irritated me is obviously everyone knows that Michael Jackson has been vindicated, and obviously I'm not trying to justify what Chris Brown did to Rihanna, but Rihanna herself forgave him, so it doesn't really make any sense to keep holding Chris Brown accountable to that if the victim herself, has already forgiven him and gone off with her life. So it just doesn't really make any sense. But it also kind of irritated me because they allegedly they replaced Chris Brown's performance tribute with Cardi B and what's her name, Glorilla or something like that. And just a few weeks prior at the time, Cardi B had just admitted to hiring men to beat on women. Is that not a bad message to promote to children as well? Or, like I said, do we just pick and choose who we decide to hold accountable to your piss ass morals? So that's the point that I'm trying to make. I just kind of feel like people pick and choose, and that really it annoys me. It really annoys me. If you're not going to keep the same energy, piss off with your morals. It's really that simple. It doesn't make any sense for you to cancel a Michael Jackson tribute after that guy has been vindicated over and over again. you know, but then replace his tribute with Cardi B, who literally admitted to having men beat on women because her husband cheated on her. Like, it doesn't make any sense. So that's the thing that bothers me, is that people don't keep the same energy. That's all I'm saying, is keep the same energy. Subscribe. Thank you.